people hardly believe in you when you don't have money. So what do? You build your resources. And you must not start playing the big league. Your ability to create trust for yourself individually.
Credibility.
Yes, first of all, build a credible entity for yourself, build credibility. Then second,
Hello, my name is Ikem Elvis. Welcome to another episode. Today we're going to be having a very interesting conversation with a spectacular businessman. He's quite simple. He's Mr. Chinedu Eya. He's the chairman CEO of EYA HOMES, a real estate company in Nigeria, headquartered in Abuja. So we have the opportunity to speak to him about his journey starting in real estate and growing it to where it is. Welcome, sir.
thank you so much.
It's good to have this conversation with you.
My pleasure.
Because
Always my pleasure.
Because real estate is something interesting. It's one of the biggest, profitable, fastest growing sectors in Abuja, at least that I know about. Because it seems houses are springing up everywhere, but it seems to be a very competitive market. So can you give us a background of?
Okay, real estate in entire might be fast growing, but not the fastest growing. The food business is the fastest growing industry in every economy. It's just that some persons play it down. You go through every street and you see people selling food. But after food, you talk about clothing, then you talk about shelter. So shelter can be next to it, but not the fastest. Okay. Because the cost for shelter no be choice. You understand? Obvious. It's not. You don't just wake up and build a house. Now, when you chop belly food,
You wear clothes.
you wear clothes. Then you now go build.
Yeah.
So, yes, the need for housing has increased, and it's not out of place to see houses sprouting everywhere. But you should also not forget that most of the houses you see today were people's plan yesterday, and the houses you see tomorrow are people's plan today. So the future you will see, or we all will see, are the future we are currently working on. So it can just come like a dream, but some of these people had this land long, way before now, but nothing really happened on those lands until they saved up and worked on it. For you see the person on a daily basis, but you won't know the person's plan. But everything is precept upon precept, line upon line. Before you know it will just manifest, boom. Like most of the places you don't admire, probably because they are just building or they are clearing.
Yeah.
You don't admire those sites. It's just like making cake, you know. In the process of making cake, it looks very funny.
Yeah.
You know, that site is like, wow, disgusting, and we're going to eat this, but it comes out very sweet. Yeah. That's real estate.
Interesting. So that's on a personal level where you're building for yourself. How about the business of it? Where you're building
for the real estate companies.
Yeah.
You know, that's actually mind-blowing, because you need to first of all consider owning a plot before you consider owning plots, then before you consider owning hectares.
So it starts with one.
It starts with one. The business of real estate and real estate companies, first of all, comes from the mind. Then it now goes to your pockets. Then it now goes into transferring your pocket into other pockets. Then it is when you start transferring your pockets into other pockets that you begin to see the slimmest and the slimmest manifestation of the things you're doing. For a lot of persons, the starting point is always discouraging. We also had a fair share of it. Very, very discouraging, that you like, wow.
Which part of it, the mind part or the money part?
The mind, the money part. Except for people who have backbones, I didn't have one. Okay. So I wouldn't talk for the other side, I'll talk for my side. It was, first of all, a crazy mind trauma for me. to convince me into it. Then I got into my own pitfall, had my experience, and now we are gradually picking up. Not like Rome was built in a day. I suppose there were times that Rome was a foundation.
Yeah.
There was a time Rome was just bush. You know, there's this movie I saw, is it Outbound or something? And it tells you a little bit about United Kingdom. So that is real estate for you. At one point, everything you see is just desert. Everything you see is bush, just like Dubai. Then so suddenly somebody conceives it, goes sum up funds. How it will happen, I don't know, because it's a lot. You know, raising the fund is a big thing. There must be somewhere, somehow, you have money. This our own business is different from you saving up to build. This our own business.
It's capital intensive.
You must have money, because if you're talking, use FCT as a case study. When you even get the land from the government, you also go back into the farm. Those people are already on those lands. You begin to settle the farmers, and settling a farmer for a hectare of land here in Abuja runs in millions. These days around Airport Road, where I'm conversant with, you pay as much as 5-6 million for 1 hectare of land that you already bought from the government. So when you have 10, 20, 30 hectares, you know what you're dealing with. When you cough out that funds, where are you going to raise the funds to clear your site, to do all the necessary things?
Getting the land is not even that's one tiny part.
That's the slimmest. Yes, it's not very tiny though. These days, it's not very tiny
compared to the big picture.
Yes, it's not very tiny, because these days, if you're conversant with agents, you begin to see listings. You see that lands are not cheap.
Yeah,
the lands are not cheap. When you begin to hear the millions, then when you cough out that bulk, then you now begin to worry yourself on how to cough out another bulk to farmers. You see, it's a lot.
It's not for the feeble-minded.
I've not compared. I don't know who is a feeble-minded. I've not compared. Maybe I would try to look for a feeble mind and compare.
And see if they work.
And see how it works.
And then getting it is between getting it, clearing and developing and selling. What's the process like?
It's not an easy task. There was a plot we got last year, and till now we've not summed up the liquid content, the funds to attack the land. Attacking the land, what I mean by attacking the land is to hit the ground running. Now, we've gotten the land quite sizable. The location is fine for me because I believe in developing the bush. As a matter of fact, I'm working on something with Mackenzie currently, which we call building the bush city. You understand? Building the bush city is a documentary which probably should, I wouldn't want to call some names here, because it will definitely go viral. And see that process. That process is not an easy thing. You acquire the land, you go for compensation. Then the way some places are, even if you have genuine documents, you go into litigations, and when you survive that, you now go into beautification, clearing, development. It's, for me, not an easy task, but I would never discourage anybody. I would encourage people to join me, because I will be too lonely if I am alone.
There are definitely easier ways to make money than this. So if you don't have the mind, don't put body.
I did tell you, but if you don't join me, I'll be lonely.
So try.
So try. Maybe my experience though, but when you're trying, please ask me of my experiences. They are not beautiful experiences sometimes. We must not forget the fact that things could just go wrong. You might just have gotten a wrong property, which we also had our fair share of when we started. I don't see myself getting into that anymore. if it just happens to a conventional person. No, though I'm a conventional person, but if it just happens to someone who hasn't gone through my kind of rigors, because before I got into real estate, I've also had my rigors, which built my tenacity, built my strength, built my resilience, and built my mind to take shock. Because you must expect shock when you're doing big things. Because,
based on your years of experience.
experience. But we made the same mistakes, and it almost sent us back to the village. You know, something that happened, and it took me 3 years to recover from. So you can imagine.
So this event now, can you talk a little bit about it?
You know, I would try to be a bit private, but let me a bit elucidate. In 2016, the people who led me into real estate sold me a bad plot, and till date, it's still in court. Though I've been compensated, but I had invested hugely in that place that I eventually got. And I don't want to mention some big company names because that would be, I am in court with them, and I respect their privacy, I respect their entity. But that experience of getting, as they presented to me a good plot and eventually became a bad plot, and they kept telling me, encouraging me, go to court, call this and that. These things were dipping into my pockets, and nobody cared. These guys worked on me knowing that I'm a very soft prey. I am not somebody who believes in hurting people. I don't like seeing people behind bars. I don't put people behind bars. Not like I can't. And not like the things that surrounds me cannot generate a situation where you go behind bars. But I just don't like people passing through pains. So the whole people who did all those bullshit to me, sorry using that word, now though some of them have paid the bitter price, but I didn't have that kind of mind that every other person had to punish them. And it set me back. And even if I had punished them, the Nigerian system, punishing, you still have to cough out more money. And I had parted with a lot already, and I wasn't ready to part with more. So somehow the politics thing came in, and I got a bit distracted. It also helped. I got distracted and went in, did my game, came out again, and now I'm serious with this one. So through that time and now, I have garnered experience, and we are doing well.
So these are one of the some of the experiences you can.
So sometimes I get very emotional when I talk about them, because I can't imagine a fellow man doing that to a fellow man. Man's injustice to man. You know, you see the truth, you won't tell people. Just like I know I've had a business relationship with you regards real estate, where you came to subscribe. And if I had lied to you and the place you bought from me didn't go well, I can imagine the mental trauma of what you would have passed through. So that's what I went through in a bigger way. You had just a slice, I had a bunch. Do you get? So it's something that nobody, I don't wish it for my enemy. It's an experience that it has sent a lot of persons away from Abuja. And the people who perpetrate such crime are still out there, which I feel with time, possibly this government will address it, or the next.
So is it a policy problem?
It is not a policy problem, it's an endemic problem. It's a canker-worm problem. It's rooted in the system. So because this other system is bad, it affects this system, and people are now thriving in wrong things. So when you present a wrong thing to a perceived wrong structure, to fight the wrong thing, they will just take a slice of theirs and it will move to the next and next. And the corrupt system is like an envelope. It just engulfs it.
So this is just basically, this is a symptom, not the root of the problem.
Yeah, it's a symptom, and people have really faced it hot with this sickness, this fraud. That's the right word for it. But I just hope that something happens. I will do the best I can, which I can't discuss on air.
Yeah.
But that is just me. How many persons have that willingness to fight crime? Our system fights back on people who fight crime. Because the people who are supposed to fight crime, the law enforcement are not really enforcing on crime. They are criminals themselves.
It's still part of the system that is wrong in the first place.
Yeah, so when you take a case to someone who is maybe the law enforcement agent and he didn't handle it very well, then you move it to the court, that is biased. So the system needs to be worked on. But that's not, I can't begin to fight the system right now. I'm talking real estate. And I hope that maybe via this podcast, someone can hear it and change and do the right thing. But I think there's this willingness in the recent time. People are willing to do the right thing, and it helps.
It comes with great cost anyways. So, so I think that's what's pushing back a little bit on that. Because when you now check your livelihood, your family, your endeavors may be affected just by you trying to step out and doing the right thing.
Be different.
Yes.
Just trying to be different. When you're different, man, you have to pay the price. Aside from the real estate, I have paid my price in several ways. And even in politics a little bit. But that I won't really touch that because it's also very delicate. So I hope that something different happens. And when it happens, maybe our interview will be different. We'll be smiling. Because you see now, we're almost mourning.
We're doing calculations as we're saying it. What should I say? What should I not say? What should I leave out? To avoid stories that
Yeah, so make me and you call the run around.
So now, with the system being flawed, obviously you found a way around it, or your company and a few other companies that are still surviving within that system. We found a way around those loopholes.
Okay, you know that the sponge will always have. Okay, this is it. Have you tried rinsing your sponge and you feel your sponge is just doesn't have foam? And you pour water at the tail end and you just notice that there's this soap that will just go hide at the end of the sponge. Okay, the sponge will always have soap. And so crazy, the only thing we do is we wash the other part of the sponge. And the soap, we don't always wash that stock. So the soap is there and the soap is at the end. When you filter completely, there's that.
Remains.
So, what we have just succeeded doing, few of us, and a couple of persons who will not do area council lands, because we are still doing area council lands, and trying to delve into FCDA in Abuja, but in Lagos, quite free. We're working on something huge in Lagos right now.
Okay.
Lagos is, when you get it right in Lagos, you get it right. So Abuja, there's still soap, always soap on the both end of the only thing we do is that we keep ourselves on those both ends of the stock, so it doesn't affect the rest people. So as my client, you're free, don't worry.
Yeah.
I have.
I fought the battle first.
Yes. So, what we are doing differently these days is that we ensure that we go into properties that are not encumbered. Then we try to make sure that we create a platform that guarantees our clients. We actually go into a guaranteed understanding with our clients so that they have this this insurance with us that things will not go wrong. But when it goes wrong, we are here to make it up for you. So that's that part. We just have that clause that succors our clients. And for some of the estates we already have, we've not had the reason to even visit the clause because we've tried to cover our C's and dot the I's. But as a business person, we should always expect. When that happens, there should be alternative. And that is where that's the assurance we give our clients. Any person who comes on air and tells you, I will do it right, I'll do this, I'll do that, has actually lied. Because nobody is guaranteed of tomorrow. We're in a country that doesn't have a sacrosanct policy. There's a policy that can just come up now and it affects everybody. And force major sets in. You understand? So, my only guarantee to my clients is that while we are still here, we'll do it right. We'll make sure you are safe. But when force major sets in, it's force major, it's not my fault. So
when you're talking about this issue of dispute land and stuff, have you experienced it, buying bulk and everything?
Yes, I told you the story already. Where we got into one. It was 2 hectares back then, and it's one of these area council lands. I don't want to make name because we already know the most troublesome area council land. I got involved and did all the settlements, commenced projects, because then I was, what they call fresh boy, very fresh bread. So I just go keep myself for them. Those people waiting, worry people cause the landlord, they call landlord me. They landlord me. So it was a very bitter experience. I don't wish it for my enemy. I keep saying it. I don't wish it for my enemy. Now, waiting the send person go village with that. So like right now, they go down, they call you from village. Tell you say they get buried. You know that kind of burial where we say originally you go avoid. They go because your situation. Those kind of burial, if you just send money, send 50K, 100K, you don't solve them. But because many things don't go up, you will go enter ABC night bus.
You use your presence to pay for it.
So, but things are getting better on a port road, because I think we are creating colonies that diffuses some of those principalities. So with those colonies, winning is easier. Yeah.
Interesting. So, which one do you find more profitable or more interesting for your business? Is it land directly or houses?
Okay, I do both. Like, if you've had the privilege of visiting one of our sites, we are very bold about that one. Hill City, just about a year, and we are building and we are selling lands. So we have neighbors. We own the estate, we erect structures, and we also have neighbors. So should we be living in the estate, we already have houses, and we hope to make sure, we're trying to make sure that Hill City is habitable this year. So once we're trying to wrap up some buildings, get them livable. Once the rain stops, we'll move machines to site and create our parts, and that's the road network. So we build. I don't know which one is more profitable. Okay. Because when you sell land in bulk, it's still money. When you sell a completed building, it's still money. Which one is more profitable? Now building them.
I was waiting for that.
Obviously. But when you go build finish, you know the money where you go down bust.
That's the thing. It takes more to
see the real estate wahala. When you're done, when you are coming out from the foundation, like if you're building, let's not talk about Lagos because that one is another wahala. When you're on the foundation stage, it's wahala. Every day you're praying the day you come out on the foundation. When you come out from the foundation, the block work will just speed up. I see me. Then when you get to the deck and you see you're slow, it will, it's like climbing a hill for a vehicle. No matter how fast you are, you
At some
definitely
point,
notice. You notice that there's a drop in acceleration because you're inclining.
yeah.
So, same in building. Then when you're done doing the carcass roof, you say, "Oh, I got it done."
Interior.
You start the polish.
Which takes more.
Everything takes more. You know. But you know one thing about building, it gives you hope. So if you're sick, it helps the sick somehow because that hope that you're going to finish it keeps you alive. You know the hope you have, the hope your dog has that you will come home and feed him or her. That's the same hope you have when you have a project. So I advise people, if you have a way of getting yourself busy with project, just do it. It will keep you alive. The people who get project, they quickly die.
Because then there's always something you're waking up to do.
You're taking advantage of every opportunity because you want to achieve your goal.
And then there's this statistic they brought up one time. They said an average of I think 10 years or thereabouts that people live for once they retire.
Yes, because they don't have things they live up for.
Yes.
So for people who what the people do, that thing happens to are people who don't have extracurricular business, who don't have other business that they do aside from civil service. As soon as they leave civil service, they are sacked. But if you have some other things that keeps you busy from civil service, like I know some persons who, while in civil service, developed hotels. They're kicking every morning they're in their hotel. Some of them not very good looking hotel, but it takes them out there, they talk, they communicate, they argue on newspapers, this old argument. No be him win, I won't tell you. You know that kind of argument. It just keeps them. Every day they are discussing, there's one controversial discussion. And that hope that I do quickly go office or go keeps them alive. It applies to real estate. Once you have it like your baby, once you resume it, you're praying the day you see it completed, and it keeps you alive.
So do you give yourself a break from when you complete to moving into another project, or do you just go?
No, my projects I take all of them at once.
You just keep going.
Keep going. I think when I might, maybe when I get very old, I'm in my early 40s, very, very early 40s. So maybe at 60,
Slow down.
Slow down.
But who knows? You may move into something else. This speed will continue.
This speed will continue. So, but now I walk around the clock. As a matter of fact, one of my friends in the US called me around some minutes past 2. Though he lives in California and different time zone. Called me around 2 yesterday. He knows my time zone. He's my friend. And we were talking about something relating to raising fund for my company. And he called me, and I was still very smart awake. He said, "I saw you online and decided to buzz you. Why are you not sleeping?" You know that kind of. But who am I sleeping for? I've had my early sleep. I slept around 10 and he called 2. That's enough time already. So, if any other thing past 2, it's me planning the next day. 2 things I do that time is either I'm praying in the Holy Ghost or I am watching movies, adventurous movies where people probably lies, but it keeps my mind warm. So, sometimes you need to watch those kind of movies to light yourself because it keeps you alive.
All work and no play. You can't work around the clock and not have any entertainment.
Why?
Why?
It's either in my fridge, and I slowed down on alcoholic beverage. So my fridge is no longer very interesting. So movie and prayers. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So For
Don't use this as a point. This one I said now.
no worry.
Intro.
For people, say a young person wanting to get into real estate, because it is not something, I don't think I would not say it's certain that a young person cannot get into it, but it's difficult, extremely difficult, because of the nature of the business and how much capital is involved in even starting. So if, say, somebody wants to get into it, doesn't have a lot of capital, what are the ways they can raise money or find a way around it?
See, you see this question? This would be an expo though, but let me just tell you. Very easy. Real estate development is very easy. People hardly believe in you when you don't have money. So what do? You build your resources. And you must not start playing the big league. You can start from acquiring yourself just a plot. You can also start by affiliate marketing, which like advertising, selling, making your own little profit from real estate, aside from other things you're doing. Real estate is booming right now. So when you post certain status, you definitely get an inquiry like, where is this your plot? Where you trust them, your ability to create trust for yourself individually.
Credibility.
Yes, first of all, build a credible entity for yourself, build credibility. Then second, build for your company. Because if the people who connect with you trust you, they will feel easier, they will feel safer going through you to the company. And you're making between 5 to 10%, depending on the understanding you have with the real estate company you're marketing for. So it makes it easier. If, for instance, some of our new cheap areas now, we're selling for as cheap as 700, 800, 1 million. And so if someone, for instance, markets to someone and sells one of those lands we are selling for high, maybe the lands of 7 or 9 million or 5 million, and makes 5%. 5% is already 250,000. If you pay back 200 to the company and say, I don't deposit for land, you understand? You've commenced. Journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. But you know what happens? People of now are different from the people of my time. I was born in the 80s, meanwhile. And in my time, we don't believe in looking flashy. We believe in what money can do. So at the time I was in the secondary school, I was already thinking of businesses I can do with my pals in school. Some of them who had golden spoons then. When I travel, I like, wow, I saw this. Then it was a landline. I called the seminary, let's give this information to some of them. Their parents also had landlines, so I can call them, I pick up their phone numbers and dial their numbers and discuss business. Yeah, I was in, yeah. So no, not from the seminary school. No, when we go back home. I was in a seminary school.
Okay.
No, forget about what happened in between. Something changed. So people of these days really just consider being flashy. So even if the person markets and gets that 250,000, he's already considering something different from what you are thinking. And it's now a software era, it's now a digital era. Some persons are also improving. You never can tell what another person is doing. Some people are investing their money into developing softwares, which is beautiful. But if real estate is what you're keen about, then when you get your funds, reinvest it into real estate. When it rains, the river overflows. Don't forget. That's to say that it's those drops that actually overflows the river, which means that every drop matters. Every drop. So growing big in life has to do with how you manage your own drop. Okay? When that little thing drops, what comes to your mind? You won't go run activity. You go don't get one baby, you don't pile up. You know what I mean? So you want the mark register.
Count.
You want the or you think of what will this money do? Even if that money does not buy land immediately, even if you did not deposit immediately, what did this money do for you? Do you know that what 100,000 means to me is different from what it means to other people? And we all get this money at different occasions. You get?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just do something you never know will metamorphose into funds. It just happens, and next week, like, man, you know, so I did broke now. Yes, you should be broke because you didn't do what I did with my own money. Sometimes I take as much as that money now. I pay as much as 150, 200 to my social media account to sponsor ads. 300 sometimes. Now that person gets 200. He wants to sell. He feels it's only his or her status that will sell. At this point, you already know that this business, for somebody to have inquired, you should know that this thing is selling. Put it on your page, on your Instagram. Take that money you made, push it there. As the inquiry is coming, so your prospects are growing. You understand? Before you know, people begin to trust you because you're building your contacts. So that is the slimmest way of getting money. Being rich is very easy. The problem is sustaining yourself as a rich person. That is where the issue comes. Like declaring yourself rich, no. If that kind of 10M show now, you go don't declare yourself rich.
Only for one nice Benz.
You understand? But the maintenance, you understand?
I'm for
Now, you know. If I tell you that I don't have a reputable vehicle, but most of the people I do business with, I had given them very costly vehicles. You understand? Very, very extremely costly. Like I've given somebody a vehicle of 48 million. I've given because it's a form of payment for the business I have with them. But I no get the mind to drive them. You understand? If you are a crayfish in an ocean, you still remain a crayfish until you change ocean. If you can't enter river, maybe you don't become prawn. You become chief. Forget. I know they like to tell myself lies. So go now, get big car. I come in, you celebrate me. I go now get got. Place where I suppose weigh 1K, 2K, if it save me. That place now 50K. How I go take the get this 50K on a regular? And I don't get anything they do apart from this to the beg on a money buy land. So, what do you use your money to? What you use your money for determines how successful you become, whether as a youth or as an adult.
So there's a lot of patience and consistency.
Yes.
It's a lot because if you look at it with especially the way that social media is changing culture basically. Now you don't, before you could compare yourself with your neighbor, your friend, people around you. Now you're comparing yourself with people miles away.
Yes.
So now you're looking at where they are, and so you need to meet up quickly.
Peace up.
There's that pressure on you. You can't do the consistent steps. It's like someone that is starting in real estate looking at you, running an established company, wanting to go from here to here, but missing the process you went through.
No, the person needs to observe. First, follow the process. It will be a lie for someone to tell you, I just started and I got here. If your father is not Abraham, I don't want to call names. If you don't have backbone, you should be ready and patient to follow the process. Then invite the grace of God. There are ways of activating grace. I'm not a pastor, I won't talk about that. But the grace and consistency, patience, the timely investment, and proper and timely investment. Because you can be investing timely in the wrong thing, and you can be investing properly in the right thing. You understand?
Yeah.
So those are two different things. But what you need there is your intuition and information. So you need to be a bit read. You need to seek information from people who are not biased, who are not interested in defrauding you. Because if you take that information to someone who is a reaper, he will do things that will make him reap you. So mentorship. Mentorship might not really mean sponsorship, but you need to pick yourself a mentor. And
someone that is already
in it, who is not going to feel like you want to come and overshadow me, you want to come and, you understand, you need to identify who should be your mentor. Then, even if you don't go meet them,
you can watch from afar.
From afar. Like me, every night, I spend my time going to real estate pages. Okay, one of these days I was at the airport. I just got back from the US meanwhile. But I was at the airport and I saw somebody just brought me a brochure. And I said, can I keep it? I was so keen because I had seen contents that like, wow, this is beautiful. And I wanted to emulate. I just got back, logged into their website. I'm like, oh, this is nice. This is beautiful. And I'm drawing concepts from them. So there are times where you just need to, pick up more information from unbiased platforms, people too.
Okay, so now from someone who is inside the business to a person who is just investing on, they're not reselling, they just want to have investments in real estate. How would you advise them to do it? Commercial properties, landed properties, buildings.
Okay.
Which one?
It's learn. There are times to buy. Like I was listening to a stock exchange discussion on TED, and the guy said that it is wise to know when and what to buy. If you are buying a startup, if you're doing a startup and you're very young with little resources, don't be in a hurry except you feel you have funds. Don't be in a hurry to go to Maitama, Asokoro, Banana Island, VGC to get properties. If you can, please do. But consider that there's still time for you. Some of these places grew from even about the time you were born. Some of the places were bushes, as at when you were 15.
Yeah.
And when you became 20, 23, 24, they are started selling in billions. And you didn't tell yourself the truth that this is a process, it's a time. So why not know that in the next 5 years, properties you buy from the bushes, when those places were bushes, would also metamorphose into billions. So for me, the Bible said, seed, time, and harvest. It's not seed time and harvest. There's a time for the seed. There's a place for the time, and there's a place for harvest. If you want to play the big league because of the kind of resources you have, I support you. You be my friend. If I don't have the privilege of being your neighbor, I'll read you on the news. But what I would have advised is that your first 10 million, 100 million, 200 million, join us in some genuine bushes. Acquire plots, build some houses, give them 3, 4 to 5 years. Same plots you bought will give you times 10, times 50, times sometimes 100 of the same amount you would have given to someone on a property that already has nipped, a property that has gotten to the prime. You understand? So, different strokes for different folks. It depends on the kind of capital you have and whatever. But for me, my advice is, we like this. We know the value of bush. We do bush. If they meet us, we tell them how it works. But they might also meet some other better guys. There are people who I look up to who are doing big things. They might also give them that better information, which also I do have, but I cannot utilize it because I know my stage. I can't jump this step. I'm taking my time. But I know that, give or take, in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, I'll still look this young, maybe with some strings of white hair.
Yeah.
I'll look
Like
younger.
now.
I'll still look this young. And those properties that they didn't buy will be running in billions.
And now
To be
people
our
wake up and want to buy it.
So, different strokes for different folks. That's my response.
Okay. Can we talk a little of the politics side?
Yeah, but don't hammer.
Yeah. Okay. So, you've been into it for how long?
Since 2011, I contested for local government chairmanship in 2011.
Okay.
It didn't work out, and I sold my 190 Benz. Don't mind me. It's not nice for me to touch you when talking. Please,
It's fine.
permit me.
It's fine.
But it's a habit.
It's fine. COVID is gone now. We can.
So 2011, yes. I wasn't very bold in 2015, so I let it slide. Then 2019, I contested for Senate, and my party advised me to step down for someone. And I didn't contest in the last election because I needed to give concentration to my business. That doesn't mean that I don't have interest in politics, but my real estate business is my baby, and I wouldn't want to abort it.
Yeah. To leave too early
When it's still sucking.
Yeah.
So
Where can we find you on social media, websites, whatever?
okay, I am on all social media handle. I am Chinedu Eya. My page should have approximately 53,000 followers.
Okay.
On Instagram, I am Chinedu Eya, and I should have close to 10,000 followers on Instagram. Then, just so why I'm indicating, because there could be other Chinedu Eya, but then my Eya Homes is about 8,000 something on Instagram and about 17,000 on followers on Facebook. Chinedu Eya is on TikTok too. 1,200 followers on TikTok. Then I think that's the only social media I know.
Yeah. Okay. So the website, okay.
myahomes.com. Yes.
Okay. We'll put it down there. So if you go on the website, can someone effectively maybe do business with you while on the?
Okay, we're updating.
Okay.
Okay, this is it. A bit of our secret, but let me share. We were working on softwares.
Okay.
Is it softwares? Apps, sorry, rather. I use that word. Though we're working on a real estate software that will help us, which we are going to integrate into our website.
Okay.
For calculus, that one is quite different. We're working on apps, and it made us a bit less concentrating on our website.
Okay.
Well, give us a year. I believe in time. Give us a year. A lot of things will come into fruition, and we'll be better. We were not like this last year.
Yeah, definitely won't be like this by next year.
Won't be like this by next year.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
So like, subscribe. Please go follow my EYA Homes. We'll put the link. We'll post the link there, and check out if you see the properties that you like. They're quite trustworthy here in Abuja, in Lagos, and different parts. So reach out to them, and subscribe, like this page, and share. Thank you.
Thank you.